Hello. Oh, new video time. We are starting the footers. I think I mentioned in the previous video, tried getting a foundation company to help me out, and they never called back. So even though they said they'd be able to do it, they should have been out here by today working. But yeah, that happened. So I'm getting started on the footers and forming them up. And in order to do that and try to make sure everything's square, level, and all that, I am going to be running some strings. So I'm putting these stakes in the ground, and I got another one over there, and I'm going to run a board across from this one to this one, and then I'll be able to run a string across, and I'll be able to adjust it left and right, and make sure everything's square. I'm also probably going to try to put like a nail in it or something to get the levelness going. I got my 2x6s loosely laid out. I'm going to need some more, but I just kind of wanted to start getting a visual and started getting something down, so I kind of just got them in there. They're a bit in the way, but it helps me mentally to have said that, okay, I'm starting. I'm getting material out here. So that's where we're at right now, and I'm just going to run those strings. This stepped footing is going to be a bit of a challenge, because I'm going to run a line from here across and try to make it as level as possible, and then I'm going to run a plumb bob down, or a modified plumb bob, to try to get everything square. So that's what we're doing. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, ICF. So I went to the concrete place, the place where you order the concrete from, and they have a retail store there, and talked to them. They're very nice, and was able to talk to them about buying the pieces for forms and all that kind of thing. And it's just, if you're not doing this as a business, it's so expensive. So I was like, okay, well, they kind of talked me into ICF, which I don't want to do ICF because I don't want insulation on the outside of my foundation in the dirt. It degrades over time. It looks ugly. You're supposedly able to put some sort of facing over it, like a mortar and, design and whatnot. But that's more work. It's more materials. It's another thing that can degrade and needs maintenance. If you hit it with something, it's going to not look right. I just want concrete on the outside of my foundation. So I wasn't thrilled about the ICF, but I was thrilled about the fact that I was going to be using something that had a known load tolerance. So when you're pouring the concrete, you know how much, like your lift sizes, you know how big they're going to be. And you know that it's designed to hold that. So that I'm psyched about. But I was looking into the catalog. So Nudura insulation. I don't know if you can have both sides be plywood. I think the insulation might be needed in order to create the structural support so they can kind of stack, because there's little teeth in them. Okay, I got these boards in now on every corner, and that weird contraption over there. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta do another one over there. But anyway, so now it's time to run some string after I fix that one thing that's missing. Well, I think that is all of the strings that I need. You can see I got a nice corner here. I was using this for my laser tape measure to have something to easily bounce it off of. And I got a string going over there, another cross one going the other way. The thing I didn't do was the retaining wall. I'm going to leave that till last, after I get all the boards in and all that. So now I can just put these boards in and get them to the right height, and then create the gap between and all that, and it should just work and be fine. So this is moving along well. Okay, so here we are the next day. I'm trying to place the outside of the footings. You can see over here in this corner, it's very, very high. There's a big gap in the bottom, so I'll have to plug that with something. Maybe wood, maybe dirt. Doesn't matter. But yeah, this corner is just extra low for some reason. I got that going over across the edge. And I think I'm trying to be a little bit too precise with this. With this side, it took me a while, and I got it basically right on there. If you put a little bit of sideways pressure that way, the string won't be touching the board. And I'm getting, the height is very accurate. This side, so hammering these stakes into this rocky soil, you can't get them exactly where you want. So I'm starting to say, like, gaps like this, as long as it's a gap in the direction of making it bigger, then I think I'm going to be fine with that. There's a bit of a twist in that board, so that string looks like it's being hit, but it's not. But anyway, so I think in order to get this to go a little faster, I got to accept some error. And as long as the footer's, you know, at least the size that I want, then I think that's good enough. Here's what it looks like with all the horizontals in. Gotta get the verticals in for the steps, and I didn't get the retaining wall in yet, but that will happen soon. Okay, we're getting closer to these footing forms being ready, so I'm starting to take the tractor, and I got some way down the hill over there. I got some of this, what is it, crushed ledge, and it's water permeable. There's no fines in it or anything like that, but it's not washed. I don't know how they make it, but anyway, putting it on the edges so that the concrete won't squish out. I'm not really putting any in the middle, even though, you know, there is room for it to rise up to get to my required 7-inch height, but I'm okay with having some deeper spots. I don't really care about saving that much concrete. Over here I might add a little bit because that's a pretty big gap, but maybe not. We'll see. The idea is just get the darn thing done. Try to dump the piles as close as I can, because doing it with basically I'm moving it with this shovel here, and that is pretty hard to get. It's hard to get a scoop full because the gravel kind of blocks you. But yeah, just trying to get that around. I still got to do this retaining wall section, which I've determined I'm gonna just make the same specs for the retaining wall that are for the rest of the system. I did the rebar last night, all out, you know, where the rebar needs to be, what grade, size, all that kind of thing. And even though that retaining wall, it's an 8-foot wall, it's holding back, has 3 feet of unsupported height, I'm just going to do the exact same thing for that I'm doing for everything else. With the one exception that I can't use ICF forms, which is a bummer, because I don't have the form system to do that. So just trying to do finishing touches. Tomorrow we get the U-Haul, we get a whole bunch of rebar, and then I want to be able to get an inspection. Hopefully I can call them by Wednesday. That'd be great. Today's Sunday.